Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you, Sid?
I'm doing great. You looking beautiful. I want to let you know. Welcome home. Welcome here where we provide inspiration, information, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, and that video really got me psyched and started. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely. No,
And I consider it an honor and a privilege to be your first guest. How amazing for you.
absolutely amazing. I think that you are an incredible person. You are somebody to know. I'm happy to know you, and I'm happy to have you as my first guest here today. We had a preliminary phone call, and I went straight into specifics, and you slowed me down, and you said, it's very important to ask, how are you? So before we get into the specifics today, I would like a nice, collected response. How are you?
You know, Cedric, I'm doing well. I think it's important. I went to bed early last night so that I could be prepared for this morning. I'm doing well. My dog woke up. He just got hit in the head with the lamp a minute ago when I adjusted my desk. So, but I'm doing really fine. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning,
Oh,
and just doing research and collecting information, smelling the fresh cut grass outside, and
yeah,
just trying to take on some successful habits. One of them is waking up early, and
right.
so for the past probably 6 or 7 months, I've been waking up at about 4 o'clock, and I think there's several benefits to that.
hmm I agree with you completely. A lot of people who aren't starting their day, it gives you time to collect your thoughts and to lay out your plan. And you're never going to execute it perfectly throughout the day. But as long as you start early, there are some things that you are definitely going to get done. And those are the things that you do in that period of time. So I applaud you for getting up early. It's
Right.
not easy to do. It's a habit to get into.
Yeah, it is. It is. We're going to talk about some of those habits today as well. Somebody told me once that you're very creative at around 4 o'clock in the morning. It's one of the most, like, if you wake up and get busy at 4 o'clock in the morning, you can be very, very productive.
Right. That is true. And I've
Right.
experienced it myself.
Right. Well, without further ado, we're going to get directly into this interview. I believe that there's a lot in store for our viewers, and there's going to be a little bit in here for a little bit of everybody. So let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
I love your name. I love your name. When did you realize that you were a star?
So my name was a gift from my dad, and he actually fought for my name. My mom wanted my first name to be Renee, and my mom
Okay.
was a school teacher, and she felt like Star was not a good name to be called out in class.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was born, my dad was still in the room fighting for Starlet to be the first name, and he won, and I'm glad that he did because I don't want to disappoint my dad, and I do the best that I can to try to live up to my name. So I realized it right from the start.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. I believe that we're stars in our own right, and you definitely live up to your name for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the city of Cleveland, in a phenomenal neighborhood at the time. I'm starting to learn more about it now that I'm older.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Lee Harvard area, and it was a thriving neighborhood for Black people, middle class, beautiful homes, tree-lined streets, teachers, professionals, some of the first McDonald's franchisee owners. The husbands worked at Ford Motor Company, General Motors, all of those places. So I'm a proud Clevelander and a product of Cleveland Public Schools and a product of the Lee Harvard area, which was just an amazing four corners. And believe it or not, to this day, those of us on those four corners, the Rileys, the Baldridges, and Angela Stitt, we are all friends today from those four corners.
Right. Can you talk a little bit more about the history of that area?
Absolutely. So I actually would walk to school. My dad could stand on the corner from my house and watch me walk like maybe 6 blocks to an elementary school, Gracemount. Everything was in the neighborhood. We would go to the record store in the neighborhood, the library in the neighborhood, West Fish Market was right in the neighborhood, the shrimp boat with the $1.50 foot longs, right in the neighborhood, Lawson's, Franklin's, all of these stores. And everywhere you went, you saw someone who looked like you in the Lee Harvard community. And I think that that was very important in terms of laying a foundation for me and my friends. We've all done well on those 4 corners. It was important laying that foundation for us to see people like us running things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And to that point, would you like to make any shout outs?
Oh, yes. Let me go ahead and shout out Yolanda Riley and Corinne Riley. I tell you, we are sisters. We are not even friends. We are sisters. And Angela and Tremaine and Deborah, we are family. So yes, that's those 4 corners, the Baldridges, Terry Carolyn, hey, little Terry Tory, hey,
Right.
those 4 corners are tight.
Right. And so for all you big city folks out there, we're talking about metropolitan areas where there is a 4-way street. You have a stop sign in each of the 4 corners. And at each of those stop signs is usually a nice modular home with a nice modular yard and the garage attached. And so if you go outside, you could have 4 different families standing on their lawns looking at one another. And this happens all across America in metropolitan areas, just like Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Star, can you tell me a little bit about your mother, and then if you would tell me a little bit about your father?
Absolutely, and my mother, more recently, my mom is 80 years old now. Oops, I probably should have said that. My mom grew up in Arkansas, so she's in the South. They migrated from Louisiana to Arkansas. And my dad grew up in Arkansas. My mom and dad met at Philander Smith, which is a HBCU in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Really?
And
okay.
My grandmother graduated from Philander Smith. So my grandmother graduated from that same HBCU. My mom, very organized. Like I mentioned before, my mother was a school teacher, and my due date was the middle of October. And my mother told the OBGYN, hey, those few days aren't going to make a difference. She needs to be born September the 30th so she can go to school. And my mother had it just like she wanted it. I was born September 30th and one of the youngest kids in class most times. So my mom is truly a planner. Everything that she did in relation to my life was part of a plan. So anything that she felt was missing from her childhood, she made sure that I had. Access to music, access to different programs, going skiing, playing chess, everything that she read about in books and things like that when she was young, she made certain that I had access to. Mm-hmm. My dad was the worker, and it's unique to be a girl dad. I know that you're a girl dad too.
Yes, I am.
It's a unique situation to be put in, and my dad actually prayed for a girl. You think a lot of men want to have sons. My dad actually wanted a little girl, and I ended up being his only child. And he literally poured everything he had into me. I truly believe when I was growing up that if it was raining outside, my dad could go outside and say, stop. And the rain would stop so that I could walk in the sunshine. That's how I grew up. My father would tell me that he would just stand in the doorway and look in the crib and watch me breathe. Mm-hmm. And there's a term that a lot of my friends are going to recognize. He would kill a brick, a choke a stick.
Yep.
To me.
Yep.
So,
my grandmother used to say that. Yep.
Yeah. So it was delightful growing up in a home with 2 parents, very different parents, but both parents who knew that they had a unique opportunity, being college graduates, it being the late 60s, early 70s. them being in that neighborhood, we know now how difficult it was to purchase homes in the Lee Harbor area, which was predominantly white at the time. But for them to purchase those homes in that neighborhood and take that leap of leaving the South. There's a wonderful book called The Two Sons about the Great Migration. To take that leap of leaving the South and end up in Cleveland, Ohio, I was literally hit the lottery in terms of being born to the right parents at the right time, raising me in the right environment with plenty of opportunity.
So you would say that your upbringing was bright, and that it was a great opportunity for you to become the special person that you are today.
I would absolutely say that, Ced, without a doubt. The structure, I would get up on Saturday mornings at 7 o'clock in the morning. I had to pack my own lunch, and we would be on our way to the Cleveland Music School settlement. And that's an area over by Severance Hall.
Okay.
And I would be dropped off at the Cleveland Music School settlement from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock on Saturdays.
Right.
Classical piano, music theory, music history. Once we left the music school settlement, we were on our way to the library, and we would spend a couple of hours at the library. So on Saturdays, that was my job.
Right.
And been learning.
I just want to put a time reference around this. Can you walk me through a day in your life as a 12-year-old?
A day in my life as a 12-year-old. So that would have been around 5th or 6th grade, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So a day in my life during the week, I would wake up, have breakfast every morning, a hot breakfast every morning.
There you go.
I would be on my way to school. We usually had lunch in school. So I remember getting the tater tots and the little pieces of chicken, the little things that we had that they considered lunch back then, with a carton of milk and things like that. After school, and my father picked me up from school every day. Every day, my father was there to pick me up from school. And when I would get in the car, the first thing he would say is, "How was your day?"
There you go.
And it wasn't acceptable to respond to my father, "It was fine. It was okay." No, he wanted to know detail about how my day had gone. Mm-hmm. And it was important because I realize now, looking back, to have the opportunity to talk about myself, to talk about my feelings, to talk about anything that I experienced, so that I could get knowledge and wisdom from my dad, even at a young, early age, on how to manage life.
100%.
He would take me and drop me off at my grandparents. And that was another, that just knowing that you are so thoroughly loved. And as soon as you get to grandma's house after school, what does she do? She feeds you.
Yep. So, another hot meal.
Exactly. Yes. She had been waiting for me to get home from school.
Right.
So another meal at my grandparents' home, a little bit of TV. So I watched a little, because now I'm at my grandparents' house. I get to play a little bit now. It's not so like it is at mom and dad's house. So Little Rascals, a little bit of TV, and then homework. And my mom would be there to pick me up in a couple of hours. Come home, dinner, bed, start over again the next day.
You know, I want to take a moment to point out the role that your father played, in addition to your mother. But you know, you mentioned your father, and I know that there are many fathers out there. Some of them are watching today, and it warms my heart to hear how your father planned for you. Your father wanted you, and your father adored you. Every single breath and every single step that you take is now an example for other fathers who might be tuning into this broadcast to remember, listen, take note of the impact that you have as a father. And so right here at this beginning of this interview, I want to appreciate the insight that Starlet has provided so far and encourage a father who's out there right now. Maybe you want to become a father. Fathers are critically important in the advancement of people because look who you can become when you have a father. You can become a Starlet Cunningham. So I've got a tasty question for you.
Okay.
Seems like you're the type of person who has some good home cooking. Yeah. I want you to describe your favorite meal by your parents.
And you know what? So that was that's a hard one.
Choose a favorite. Choose a favorite.
Okay, all right. But I'm gonna throw 3 out real quick. So
okay.
My mom would make.
Hey, hold on. Wait. Hey, people need to take note about this because some of these people in here, they keep feeding their kids chicken nuggets. Gotta stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go. 3 meals. Let's go.
Three. My mom would chop up onions and peppers and whip it into the eggs, brown the sausage in the skillet, and put it in a pie crust.
What?
You have to make the pie crust. You have to roll it out. You have to pour it in there. I didn't know back then that it was a fancy name called quiche. We called it breakfast casserole.
Wow. So I actually never heard of that before. Can you say that one more time? What happened?
Real quick. All you do, whip up
How quick?
5 minutes.
No, you're kidding me. No 5 minutes.
You chop that onion, chop that pepper, put a little seasoning. You got to use more than salt and pepper now. Got to put some garlic powder and some hot sauce.
What's the secret ingredient? They don't do that no more.
Whip up those eggs, put it all together, put it in a pie crust. It's called breakfast casserole.
Right.
My dad's favorite, obviously, getting up early in the morning, starting that fire and making that whole neighborhood smell good because he would be on the grill. Mm-hmm. So I remember my dad seasoning those ribs and rubbing that meat and making sure that it was right.
That's right.
On the grill. And if you know how to work the grill, it's going to take you all morning.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Now and then you might get a little piece of bone to, snack on, but you're not going to eat till 4 or 5 o'clock. Because
it's an all-day thing.
It's an all-day thing. Wow. All the burgers and chicken wing go on the grill last. You got to put the ribs and everything on there first. Smoke them all day long.
You say it's an order for this.
And with love. Every bite of that meal is nothing but love because while daddy out there on the grill doing the meat, what's mama doing? She in the house frying that meat, making the baked beans, making the coleslaw, making all those macaroni and cheese and side dishes, getting it together.
Yep. And this is what we do.
That's what we do. And the last one, come on now, I can't go out here without fried chicken.
Okay. How you make yours? Tell me.
Oh, so you got to season it up again. We got to use more than salt and pepper. You have to have some garlic powder, seasoning salt. You got to have a little bit of onion powder, garlic and onion. Sprinkle all of that on there. Now that I've gotten a little older, I always take my garlic, chop it up, and sear it a little bit in some butter, and I make sure that I put that on top of the chicken, get it in the bag, shake it up, get it brown, get it all floured up, and put it in the skillet. Grease got to be hot. That grease got to be hot. Put that chicken in that skillet. It's got to go. Shh.
Right.
Fry that chicken up, and that's that wraps it. That's a wrap. That gives
there
it.
There you go. I like that. So we got a trifecta for all of our people out there who's trying to figure out a variety of things that you can cook in the house. Hey, that breakfast scramble she talked about, I'm gonna try. I might be a little late today, but tomorrow, before I do this broadcast, I'm be trying out some breakfast scramble. That's for sure.
Everything you need: bread, meat, eggs, and vegetables, all in one meal.
Okay, got it. I'm downloading it, putting it where it goes, and I'm keeping it. What did you do for fun?
Well, so we would play.
Okay.
And I tell you, when I say play, you know how you would say, your parents say, when you come in the house, you smell like outside.
Mm-hmm.
When we went outside to play, we would play. So we played any bounce. So remember, we on those 4 corners, we had bases, batter, swing. And if you caught the ball when it bounced, you got to be the batter. We would play freeze tag, TV tag. We had to make up our own games. We would play two corners, four corners. Where you have a ball and you're hitting it across the line on the sidewalk. And we played a little bit of cards.
Okay. So let me ask you this. While your family is cooking robust meals for you.
Oh, yes.
The neighborhood is beautiful. Everybody's having a good time. Did you enjoy school? How did you feel about school when you were young?
I absolutely enjoy school. Shout out to my kindergarten teacher, Miss Swan. I plan to tag her in this video. Miss Swan being my first experience with education. She was a Black woman. She loved her students. And that was my kindergarten teacher. Like I said, I walked to school, to Grace Mount. And being in the school, in the neighborhood, in the community, my first crush was David Curtis. He showed up to kindergarten with his plaid lunchbox and going down to Glendale. And I can remember you go right, and his house was yellow, almost on the corner. So it was amazing. And then you get into middle school and high school, and school was a learning experience, but I remember it also being a place where we had fun.
Absolutely. Now, for the young people who might be watching this and they might be thinking, hey, I've been getting swamped with module after module of internet learning for the past, three weeks at least, due to our circumstances right now. Can you talk a little bit about your routine when you were in school? What did it look like? And so that some of our young people can, again, take note. What was your routine? And maybe they can adopt some of those.
So the routine was broken up so that it was not so monotonous.
Okay.
I think that first of all, let me just say that we are living in a very difficult and challenging period of time. Mm-hmm. It should not be an expectation of parents to have their children sit there in blocks of hours and learn while they're at home. We have to be disciplined. We have to be consistent, but we also have to break it up.
Right.
Break it up. And there is vitamin D outside. There's no need. You're at home teaching these children. They don't have to be in the house. They can sit outside, sit in the backyard, give them a table, all of those things. But what was amazing about our routine when we went to school is it was broken up with recess. We were able to go outside and play and have recess. It was broken up with physical education classes. It was broken up with music classes. And I think one of the things that has been learned in the education system is that every child doesn't learn the same way.
Yeah, that's correct.
So this idea with rows of desks and pumping out children and class after class, I think that's something that is now starting to break down. Some kids learn better in a beanbag chair, sitting on a couch. Being in a different sitting position helps them learn better. So we need to be catering to those things. And I think that's one of the things that we didn't have as much of when I was in school, but it's something that has to be focused on in the education system now. Everybody learns differently.
So you came to understand the value of having different dynamics as a way of communicating with young people and getting them to latch on to different concepts.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm hearing you because there could be some lessons and there could be some value in our kids playing with this slime and manipulating it and, using their imagination to form it into different things that, hey, maybe when they get grown, they'll be trying to figure out a complex problem, and the shape of that problem might look like some slime that they used to play with when they were younger. So there's
and all play. So remember, my blocks on Saturdays were very structured, but I was able to go outside and play. I was
Right.
able to go outside and play.
Right.
And
It's important to go outside.
it has to be balanced. There has
Right.
to be balance. There has to be discipline and structure. But if you give your child every toy and you tell them what to do with every the iPad and the tablet, and let them go outside and play sometimes. Let
Right.
them figure out what entertaining themselves looks like. And,
Right. Yeah. There you go.
I keep seeing this line going across about those Legos. Yes, and I still am a Lego lover today. I have a room full of Legos, but being a child at that time, Legos were an expensive toy.
Yeah, they were.
Legos are expensive today.
Mm-hmm.
They were expensive then. But again, my mom and dad made room and made certain that I had access to those types of things so that I could be, to your point when we started this call, creative.
Absolutely. Creativity is what drives us into the future, and what brings hope is technology, which is the epitome of creativity. So
Agreed.
Again, I'm thankful for your input today. Did you play any instruments?
Oh, yes. So I played piano, and my parents felt like piano was the foundation. So I played piano. And then when I was in high school, I was able to add a second instrument. I played clarinet. And as a senior in high school, I was able to make my final decision, and I switched to snare drum. So
Wow.
I can play piano, clarinet, and snare drum.
Wow. Okay. Who created your favorite piece, your favorite musical piece?
That would be Mozart. A little bit of night music. So that's that is my favorite piece, and one that I enjoy. It's a challenging piece. So with music.
Also with that music.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. And what high school did you go to?
I went to Lumencordium High School out in Bedford, Ohio. Bedford, Ohio. Yes, it was an all-girls school at the time.
Okay.
And I think they're both gone now. I think that both Lumencordium and Chanel was the boys' school. I believe that both of those are gone now. Chanel was across from Bedford Heights High School. So toward the end, in like 85, 86, they started blending classes where the girls could go over to the boys' school and the boys could come over to the girls' school. But I believe both campuses are now gone, non-existent. But they beautiful, beautiful, pristine high school, extremely clean. The floors gleamed. The classrooms were clean. I mean, beautiful all glass cafeteria. And even in grade school in Cleveland, I went to a newly constructed school, Adlai Stevenson. And Adlai Stevenson was a school that was designed with an atrium, and it had all glass around it. So I think that's important too, for everybody to realize that learning, even if you're sitting in a room with a high ceiling, you tend to be more creative. So imagine what happens when you have access to an atrium and the outside while you're learning.
Right. What you see, what you learn inside of it influences what you think you can do.
Oh, absolutely. And see, you can have the sky is the limit type dreams. You can have the universe is the limit type dreams. But it all starts with how you are taught to dream as a child. There are no limits to a child's imagination. So when your child comes up to you and says something outlandish, I plan to make a flying car. Okay. Right. And it's my job as your daddy, it's my job as your mother to make sure you have access to all the tools possible to make that happen.
Without a doubt. Now we're getting you out of high school. I want people to have a clear understanding of how you became the outstanding individual that you are today.
Yes.
Before you get out of high school, I want to know, what was your most impactful project that you had in high school?
I remember it like it was yesterday. Mr. Bugай in physics class, we had to lick a Tootsie Roll Pop. So you remember there's a commercial. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie
Roll Pop?
Yes. So you couldn't put it in your mouth and spit it. You had to lick it. And
Right.
we licked Tootsie Roll Pops. I think it was 3 days before the first person got to the center. And we had to take all of that data by hand for each person in the classroom to come up with the average number of licks that it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop.
Do you remember how many licks it was?
The average number of licks is 47.
47?
47 licks to get to the center. Average.
Okay.
Because you got some people with a more sloppy mouth than others.
Right.
That's right.
Oh, sloppy mouth, huh?
Yeah. So that was, and you think about it, that was a simple project. It was fun. Every day, everybody looked forward to going to that class to get back to that Tootsie Roll Pop. But we learned a lot about averages. You learned about sugar content. You learned about how things break down over time. You learned about the content of your saliva. It was a lot. It was a lot to that project. So gladly learned a lot when it came to how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop. I still remember that one.
What was your bridge? What was your bridge from high school to college? Did you get into any unique programs? Were there any volunteering, internships involved there?
Yes. I was in, I'm a product of Jack and Jill. Okay. Which was an organization that was designed to, going on those skiing trips and different things like that. Exposure. It's an organization designed around exposure. And I was also part of Inroads, and I'm a proud Inroads alumni today. Shout out to Inroads, have to tag them as well. Yes, Inroads was the organization that allowed me to get internships. So absolutely, it's not, a well-rounded childhood is not just school and play. Parents have to be creative and come up with activities outside of school and play for their children to be exposed to, so that they can learn to think, be creative, and appreciate. You can only appreciate golf if you're exposed to it. You may not like it. But you have to try it to know you're not going to like it. If you only watch it on TV and you say it's a boring sport, that's maybe because you have yet to play it. When you play that game, and that is a very unique game because it's one of those rare games where it's you against the course. Mm-hmm. So your outcomes depend solely upon the decisions that you make throughout the course of the game. And when you learn about the game of golf, you're learning about patience. You're learning about strategy. You're learning about choices. You find out quickly that it's not just a game.
Right. And you're being cultivated by the geography of the land.
Absolutely. And when you get older, you learn. My dad would say to me when I would come in from playing golf, how'd you do today? Oh, I did pretty good today. Did you make any money? Did I make any money? I'm playing golf. Golf is about relationships. You in a foursome. Did you get to know the people that you were golfing? Are you getting to know who they know? Golf was about making money. So I finally came home one day. I said, yeah, Dad, I made some money on the golf course. My dad said, well, then you're almost there. You have to figure out how to make money while you sleep.
Right. Without a doubt. Wow. Those are some great insights right there. How golf is a way for you to build relationships and make money. I never heard about it that way. I think that's actually pretty cool. I want you to finish this sentence for me.
Yes.
Okay. I am blank. Fill in the blank.
I am somebody. I am powerful. I am knowledgeable. There are few as good as I am, but I am one of the best.
I love to hear you talking like that. And, I want to take this a moment to remind those of us who are listening now and who might listen in the future to become somebody. Don't forget to become somebody. The objective is for you to become somebody. Each and every one of us should become somebody. And you listen to this interview, and this is not coming from me. This is coming from our special guest here today. who's could have been anywhere in the world, but decided to be here with us and is sharing with you to become somebody. I think sometimes we lose that along the way, and we commit and we recommit to all different types of opportunities, but sometimes we forget to become somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that right there is excellent. We're going to take a 15-second break, and we'll be right back.
All right.
All right, we're back, and I want to know, what career did you choose after college?
You know, I have to go back a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about I chose a major in computer science, and you're talking about the mid 80s. And I remember my parents asking me what was my backup plan.
Okay.
So I did a triple major: computer science, business admin, and economics.
At what school?
Heidelberg College. Shout out to Heidelberg. They've grown. It's Heidelberg University now. And shout out to Kurt Huneman, one of my computer science teachers that I'm connected with on Facebook that I'll also tag. I chose the field of computer science in the mid 80s as a Black woman. So going into computer science, I came out, I did that internship with Enrose at British Petroleum, BP, 200 Public Square, Cleveland, Ohio. And let me back up again. When they built that building at 200 Public Square in Cleveland, Ohio, and you can Google it, the BP building, I told my dad, I'm going to work in that building one day. And my dad said, you sure will. You're going to be on the high floor too.
Right.
And I interned at BP and ended up working there when I graduated, and I walked in the door. So I'm a computer science graduate. And I said, I don't want to work with computers. I don't want to program computers. And they said, well, then what do you want to do? I said, I want to sit around and find a problem that you have and solve it with technology. And they laughed. And then they said, okay, well, we're paying you a salary, so you need to find that problem pretty quick. And I ended up working in BP Chemicals, solving problems around chemicals, parts per million of chemicals, and ensuring that if a chemical got into the body or on the skin, that information was easily accessed to how to reverse what was happening with that chemical. So it was an amazing experience. And I can remember getting my briefcase and walking to Walden and getting on the 15 bus and going downtown, or walking up to Lee Road and getting on the 40 bus and taking the 40 down to the Rapid, which ran down, what is that, Van Aiken? And getting on the Rapid and taking the Rapid downtown. So, yes.
So, when you talk about parts per million, you're talking about high level analysis, and you're talking about high level performance.
Absolutely.
And so, without a doubt, you've been doing great work for quite some time. Folks, if you just tuned in, we have Star Cunningham in the building, and we're getting ready to discuss. Let's do that for a second. We're getting ready to discuss some of her more pivotal achievements after she had a great childhood. She committed herself to achievement over the course of her life, and now she's here with us today to talk a little bit about her story and provide some insight. Now, Star, I'd like to ask you, now that you've become a successful professional, what was your biggest challenge, or one of your biggest challenges, and how did you overcome it?
I'm going to say the biggest challenge is showing up every day,
Okay.
showing up when you're tired, showing up when you don't feel like it, showing up when somebody has said something to you that you don't agree with, or something that hurts you, or something that is just plain wrong. You still have to figure out how you going to show up.
That's
And,
right.
and it's important to always recognize that the power is within you. You are the one who sets the tone. Okay. So when you are faced with a challenge or difficulties, and I have been faced with many throughout my career, take a moment and figure out, how am I going to show up today? Because every day you have an opportunity to show up as a better person today than you were yesterday.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. Now, when did you decide to become an entrepreneur, and when did you decide to start your own company?
Woo! So I was sitting on the couch with a bottle of Merlot, and I called a friend of mine back in 2011 to talk about the time that was coming when people were going to manage their health with their smartphone. Okay. That's 2011. And believe you me, I had an amazing job and career at IBM. I worked on Smarter Planet initiatives. I worked on every continent with the exception of Antarctica. But I live in Chicago, so we have the polar vortex. So I'm gonna go ahead and check Antarctica off by default.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cold out there.
Yeah.
Hey, story. One time I went to Chicago. It was the winter time. I had on a light jacket.
Yeah.
I got out there and hit that street, and that wind blew me back like that. I said, "Oh, this is why they call it the Windy City."
It's a different kind of cold.
It's different. It's different. Yeah, it gets to your bones. It gets to your bones.
Exactly. So I worked in Dubai, I worked in Brazil, I worked in Vietnam, I worked in Prague, I worked literally all over the globe. I lived in South Africa for 18 months. And it was an amazing job, an amazing career, and an amazing opportunity. So when I started talking about leaving IBM, people, again, you're a Black woman getting in limousines every week, flying first class, going all over the world. What you mean you gonna leave IBM?
Right.
But there was a window that was open. And when a window opens in life, it starts to close. So there was a window that was open, and I knew that I could always go back and work for IBM or whoever else I chose to work for. But this window of opportunity to create this vision in my mind of people using a smartphone to manage their health is something that had a unique moment in time. So I took that leap back in 2011, and I sit here telling you today, in a pandemic environment where people are being encouraged to use telehealth, I am grateful that I never looked back. Those days that I had 35 cents in my pocket and zero in my bank account, and did not quit. As I sit here with you now, I have more than 35 cents in my bank account. And
so as we move into the climax of this discussion, I'm very thankful for you today. What's the name of your company?
4D Health Wear. So if you go to 4D.care, that will land you on our website, 4D Health Wear, and we're moving the minds of medicine.
Wow. Talk to me a little bit about the proprietary edge of 4D Healthware.
So it's all about having access to your health via your smartphone or tablet or laptop, whatever device you have.
Okay.
But it's critical that an interaction around healthcare is no longer one-to-one. You can't only go seek care when there's a problem. The human body is much like a vehicle, like a car. Right. And when you buy a brand new car, it comes with a maintenance schedule. And it has all of these lights that come on to let you know something may be happening before it happens. Warning lights. Now we have the ability to do that exact same thing in healthcare. We have the ability to impact the number of strokes. Did you know that over 90% of strokes are preventable if people know what the warning signs are?
You know, I want to make sure that people understand the gravity of what it is that you're pioneering. When I said that I was bringing a pioneer into this inaugural episode of America's Next Motivator, I was not playing. So I want you to take it back and I want you to explain so that a third grader can understand why your company and what you're providing is absolutely important.
My company was built in the Arkansas Delta with people who had 8th grade. They may have a high school education, but they had 8th grade comprehension and reading. And a lot of times when you go and pick up that prescription paper from Walgreens, it's written at a level higher than 8th grade that you can't understand. So 4D Healthware starts at the very beginning of breaking down data into understandable bytes for the average consumer. And I'll give you a specific example. You've already heard 7 out of 10 coronavirus deaths here in Chicago are Black people that look like you and me. Well, when you talk to that person about self-isolation and quarantine, it doesn't mean a whole lot because I'm in a multi-generational home. I'm in quarantine. Well, they bringing the grandbabies over to my house because I'm at home. No, that's not what it means. So 4D Healthware, you have to have devices, blood pressure cuffs, scales, Bluetooth-enabled glucometers. You have to have Wi-Fi access, which unfortunately a lot of us don't have. But 4D makes sure you have Wi-Fi access. When we connect those devices to Wi-Fi and give you 24/7 access to a clinical team, you know what happens when you have COVID-19?
What?
Your pulse oximetry is monitored. Your temperature is monitored. Your lung capacity is monitored, all from the comfort of your home. When you are afraid and gasping for breath, you're able to hit a button and there's somebody right there that can assist you and let you know, hey, it's a cough. This period is going to pass. You're still doing fine. We have all your vital signs, or let you know you're at a point where you need to have emergency room care.
You know, I would love to continue this conversation well into the morning, but I know that your time is particularly valuable.
Yeah.
I just want to say again for our listeners out there, this company is one to watch. I want you to please take note of the ramifications of what it is that she's providing. And I want to ask you, does 4D Healthware improve the quality of life for my grandparents or anybody else's grandparents who might be in a nursing home right now?
Not only does it improve the quality of life for them, Cedric, it improves the quality of life for you. Right now on my timeline, I have people who have parents in that same situation that you described, who are calling the nursing home every day, trying to get information on how their parents are doing, who are not able to have video conferences with their parents because they don't have access to this technology. Well, when you give access, now you can go and concentrate on your work, right? Because you know that your mother, your grandmother, they're in good hands with 4D. And if something was to transpire, you would be contacted as a caregiver.
Let me ask you this.
Powerful for everyone.
Let me ask you this. I want to itemize who everyone is so that the entirety of America understands that they need to get in touch with 4D Healthware. Can 4D Healthware benefit athletes?
Absolutely. It's all about monitoring. You're at peak performance when you are well hydrated, when we know how much you've exercised, when we learn what it takes for your body to recover. Absolutely. That data
Wow.
will be critical to deliver
Wow.
to the athlete in real time.
Okay. Does 4D Healthware and what it's providing see itself as an entity that could help foster care?
Absolutely. So again, this is about a platform that has the ability to obtain and analyze data in a very smart way. Go back to that IBM Smarter Planet. I was there working on artificial intelligence and machine learning before Watson was named Watson. So this is
Really?
a platform that collects data. And
Okay.
when you start talking about children in foster care, anybody that has some type of disadvantage,
Mhm.
the playing field is leveled when everyone has access. And I want to make it clear, it does not just help Black people when everyone has access, it helps everyone.
Without a doubt. I remember when I was in foster care going from home to home and people not knowing when was the last time you've been to the doctor.
Right?
They don't know if you have family history of different ailments. They don't know what type of pre-existing conditions you might have. And so if I'm not mistaken, what you're saying is that 4D Healthware would help foster care agencies. Now, you know, there's 400,000, at least 447,000 youth in foster care in America. 4D Healthware could help agencies in the state get out in front of health concerns and risk factors for youth in care. Is that correct?
That is correct. The reason that you have so much health disparity is that there's so little good health foundation. And it's amazing how you started this call with the childhood and the foundation. If there's not a good health foundation, that disparity will continue to exist.
Right. And if you can't have health, then you can't have a bright future.
No health, no wealth.
No health, no wealth.
You can't enjoy your money if you sick.
Right. You know what, Star? As we begin to exit out of here, I have a clip of a talk that you gave, which I thought was excellent, and I'd like to share a couple seconds of it, if that's okay.
Okay, please, yes.
All right.
Interested in. You don't want to talk to young people as if what they enjoy doesn't matter. Because if you're going to make a purposeful connection with a young person, you have to know what do they like, what do they dislike. Don't stick them into a category. Millennials don't do this. Generation X doesn't do that. Don't do that to kids. Because they are all individuals just like we are individuals. They have brains, they think, they speak, and they deserve to be heard. And we as adults are privileged if we seek out purposeful connections with young people and actually achieve that.
All right, and we're back. So, you know, that was a great clip. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So I believe that the title of that talk was Connecting the Dots.
Yes.
And if you're going to be an individual that makes connections, and we know in this world today, connections are so important to be made, and they start with the heart. And in order for that information to get in the heart, you have to listen. And listening is different from hearing. There may be sounds all around you that you hear right now in the background, but you're listening to me. So when you make connections, you need to make them forward. So I have friends that are older than me, and you need to make them backwards. I have all the way from newborns up to my age.
Right.
And you have to make connections. If you don't make connections with young people, you end up being out of the loop.
100%. How can people invest in 4D Healthware?
Well, 4D Healthware is at a point now where we're raising our last $500,000 in capital. So we're at $100,000 increments. And you just click on our website and there's an info button there and you send us a request that you're interested in investing. And what people have to realize is that $100,000 is 10 people with $10,000. It's 20 people with $5,000. Build an LLC, put your money together and write that check.